It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
G'day world, this is the Sniper of the Skies, Robbie Eagles, and you are listening to Keeping It Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping it strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we will preview Destruction in Kobe and cover all this news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping a Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Chopped Tea store, chopped-cheese.com/KI Strong Style. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style merchandise. There's free shipping on every order and 10% off your first order. That is chopped-cheese.com/KI Strong Style. And if you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Young boy, how you doing, man?
I am doing well. We're here. It's been a week, been a couple of weeks. But Jeremy, look at this. Okay. Look at that. What's that look like to you?
White Tide? What is that?
Yeah. What's the beer that you like?
Is that a Blue Moon knockoff?
Yeah, you like Blue Moon, but I got White Tide. That's like in Coming to America. He's like, they're McDonald's. We're McDowell's. When you were growing up, did you guys have like the name brand shit, or did you ever have to get the off brand? Because I was always off brand with everything.
It depends. Sometimes cereal, we get like the off brand cereal from like Sam's Club. Occasionally, sometimes the knockoff soda, you don't get the Dr. Thunder, some of those gimmicks.
Dr. Thunder, man, you remember Jolt?
No, I don't.
Bro, so Jolt was it was a soda that was like, it predated energy drinks, but it marketed itself as having like 2 times the caffeine, or maybe even more than that, the caffeine of a regular soda. Like me and my friends, we'd go down to like 7-Eleven and they were like 99 cents. I'm really dating myself here. We fucking get ripped on Jolt, bro. Like, do you remember Volt?
No.
You don't remember Volt, the green one?
No, dude.
Volt was like the replacement for Jolt. The Jolt was like the original shit. Like that was like insane amounts of caffeine. And I was like 11, 12 going down there and I'm like, let's get some fucking Jolt, you know?
I remember Surge.
Yeah. So Surge was like around the same time as well. But I think Surge might have marketed itself as like having a little bit more caffeine, but it was nothing compared to Jolt, bro.
Yeah, I never had the Jolt.
One other last thing, anyone who is on the IWGP tier, they can see Immortality stuff. If New Japan is McDonald's, then what's the McDowell knockoff version? Well, that's AEW. As you can see, I've got a new Frankenstein shirt. Probably one of the only people that purchases apparel at AMC. Like I was literally like going to take a piss. I'm walking through. I'm like, yeah, that shirt's kind of tight. Like I'm gonna buy that.
I didn't realize they sell gimmicks at the AMC.
I guess they do now. It's like a Charlie Kirk memorial. It's crazy. They got shirts and shit that anybody can buy. And I came back from the bathroom. I was like, what do you have? I was like, I bought a shirt. And I'm treating it like I'm like at a NJPW of America show. Like I took a piss break in the middle of the boring part of the movie, came back with some merch,
Was it expensive? How much was that?
I got it half off.
Oh,
so it's like
Stubbs number gimmick kind of thing.
Nah, I just had a red tag.
Yeah, nice.
So lucky. Also, it glows in the dark, so that shit's tight too.
Nice
gimmick on top of gimmick.
Ready for spooky season.
Yeah, getting ready for it. That's tough for me though, man, because I'm like running out of like classic horror films, and at a certain point, once you've seen so many, you're just kind of digging through the trenches of shit to find a hidden gem, and there rarely ever is actually one out there. Like I've watched way too many horror movies, so
just gotta start back over from the beginning.
I could do that, I guess. But I like to bridge new frontiers, I'm not trying to, I might like to go back and watch Inoki, but I'm not trying to go back and watch John Carpenter,
Oh man. And speaking of holidays, I was in the Walmart today and the Christmas gimmicks are already out.
White people. That's what that's about.
Oh man. I was like, how? It's not even October. Like, it's not like Halloween spooky season hasn't really started yet, and we already got the Christmas gimmicks out.
Yeah, they started. I noticed that they were putting out the Halloween stuff like a month and a half ago almost. I was like, damn, that's kind of early. So same thing with Christmas. They're getting that shit out there.
Yeah. So
I don't know if this, never mind. I won't bring it up. I'm going to move on.
Okay.
I'll ask you off air.
Okay.
Before we start talking the graps, anything else going on with you? Any bullshit? Anything you want to banter about?
Well, getting ready to go to Norway this week. So that's coming up.
I heard you said last week on the show, I listened to the episode. Thank you for covering, by the way. But I like that you told people I was taking PTO. You said you were going to the UK.
Well, I'm going to London. Well, I fly into Southampton or fly into London and then go to Southampton. The cruise leaves out of Southampton up to Norway, drops us back off at Southampton, and then we're going to spend a couple days
not the
in
UK.
London.
That's not the UK.
I said the UK/Norway. I'm going both places.
All right, bro. I just feel like I'm getting worked here, but whatever.
I will be, closer to our social media manager, Emily, than I will be to you.
That's impossible.
So we'll be Norway, London for the next 2.5 weeks. So looking forward to that.
And I will be here on the show for the next 2 weeks. I believe we have some guests lined up, or intended guests, I should say. Hopefully we're able to coordinate to be able to do the live video for everybody and still, get the shit going. If it doesn't work out, that's on Jeremy. He's supposed to send me some DIY, manuals and videos and shit. But if it doesn't happen, you know who to blame.
Send your hate mail towards me. But yeah.
So send your money towards me.
So yeah, that's all. It's pretty much just going on here, getting ready for the trip, and yeah.
Nice. I do plan. When do you leave?
Wednesday.
Okay. I should have some audio ready to go, but probably not before you leave. I'm guessing we will just hold off on getting that to you for when you get back, or should I get that to Rich? What do you want me?
I mean, maybe between Rich and Emily, we can figure out how to get it up there for you and get it out there while I'm gone.
Okay, that works. We'll work on that.
Yeah, Rich can edit it, and then we can give Emily the login to the Patreon, and then she can upload.
She already has access to the old Google Drive, so she should be able to do that.
Yeah, make her earn her paycheck here.
Give her a little taste.
All right, well, let's jump into things. So we got the conclusion of the Destruction Tour coming up here. So we have the Go Home show for Destruction in Kobe coming up this Wednesday, and then Destruction on Kobe on Sunday. So Wednesday, September 24th, night 10 of Road to Destruction. So this is going to be in Sapporo. Show's going to open up. We got Katsuya Murashima and Tetsuya Matsumoto versus Masatoru Isuda and Zayn J. So a continuation of the Young Lion rivalries there.
Yeah, not much to really add to it. Obviously, the ongoing narrative really is, is Matsumoto or Zayn J going to pick up the first victory over one another? And at the same time, we've seen some pretty meaningful kind of step ups lately between Murashima and Yasuda, gaining victories, not just over one another, but also in kind of like fluky, but meaningful like tag and battle royal situations, and kind of, it's nothing major, but like adding knee pads to the gear. So they've definitely taken that next step up in the process of like being, like the senpais or whatever. But it'll be nice to see all four of these guys kind of, mix it up. Cause I don't know if on this tour we've seen just a straight tag with all four of these guys, right? Recently.
Yeah, I'm blank. I know we've seen a lot of them, and they've been in, a lot of Rambos and 6-man, 8-man kind of stuff. So yeah, I can't remember if they face off as just a straight up tag, but either way, should end up being pretty good. These guys are, especially I feel like Zayn J and Matsumoto are starting to really improve from the last few times seeing them. So should be a high energy way to kick off the show.
High energy.
Yeah. Speaking of high
energy.
Yeah. The final road match here, Hiroshi Tanahashi will take on Master Wato.
There's probably a time where if this was booked right, we'd probably be saying like, Wato has to win here, right? But that's not of all the parallel universes that are out there, this is not one of those. So yeah, Tanahashi's going to whoop that ass. And,
yeah, Wato, there's a job to be done.
I don't know. Did we, maybe you can remind me. I can't recall if we ever covered this on our show. I know we were doing recommended matches of the week for a long time. Did we ever watch Tanahashi versus Koji Kanemoto for the title?
I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah.
Okay. Cause like I was rewatching that for the 07 and I was like, this kind of feels familiar, but I feel like it might've been a different Kanemoto match. I'm not sure, but it just reminded me of that. Cause that was a junior stepping up to take on the world champion. I think it's one of the only times up to that point that a true blue junior like challenged for the world title as a designated junior. Mm-hmm. And in Sumo Hall, like a, big venue. But if you've never seen that match, highly recommend it.
Yeah. And Kanemoto is the man. We sang his praises when we did that Best of Super Juniors series during the pandemic and watch all the finals. Like Kanemoto was just killing it back in the day. So yeah.
And this is not going to be as good as that match for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I expect Tanahashi to have to get the win here. And then following that, we'll have Taguchi, Shomakato, and Tiger Mask taking on the team of Togi Makabe, Tomioka Hanma, and Toru Yano. So,
do we know, is the Great Bash heel shtick, especially with Toru Yano? Is that going to continue through the remainder of the tour? Or do we think that was a one-off?
I think it might be a one-off. We've seen Yano do the one-offs in the past. He dyes the hair for one night and then goes right back to the jet black hair and kind of back to the goofy shenanigans. So yeah, I don't expect him to continue to do the whole deathmatch Yano here.
So essentially, he's not really about that life.
No.
Yeah, so I just went back and I'm looking through the cage match. So yeah, that's the only time Kanemoto ever challenged for the title. Now, I do know for a fact we definitely covered him and Marufuji.
Yes, yeah.
And there's a part of me that feels like maybe we didn't cover that Tanahashi match, but yeah, I would recommend checking it out. It's really, and he kicks out of a high fly flow. It's fucking crazy. And he beats Tanahashi's ass worse than Nagata does.
So following that, we got Boltin Oleg, Shota Umino, and Yuya Uemura taking on Dick Togo, Don Fale, and Evil. So the final build here for Boltin versus Don Fale.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, man, there's a lot of Hantai on this show, but it makes sense. It's all in the early part, and I was like, there's not very much House of Torture, but here we are getting into the business end, and of course, we're gonna start seeing more House of Torture. So that lets us know where things stand in the hierarchy of the company these days.
Top stars,
Yeah, they sell a lot more merch than than Hanma. But yeah, Oleg Boltin and Don Fale. I don't know if I have many more words to spare on this, and I'm sure we're going to do another preview, but yeah, we're going to get a preview for the match. So here it is.
Yeah. Then following that, we got Taichi, Taka Michinoku, and Tomohiro Ishii taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Gato and the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice. And that's the preview for the tag team title match.
I mean, we've ever since the Knockout Brothers returned at the G1 Finals.
Was it G1 Finals? Yeah.
A lot of hype, a lot of interest, but this tour is the first time we've really seen them in action. And week over week, every time we see them, they tend to be one of the most standout, talk-worthy things that are going on in the promotion right now, which is rare for a tag team act in general. We're gonna preview here in just a moment this match that's upcoming, but I do feel like the interactions with Yuto Ice, with Taichi and Ishii all throughout this tour have been noteworthy and very entertaining, and pretty much the standout program of the entire last 2 months.
Yeah, that first, when Ishii first came back from AEW, that first matchup last week with him and Yuto Ice was just awesome. That exchange there at the beginning of the tag match. And man, I've been seeing Yuto Ice's interviews, and he's just been killing it with those comments and talking about, it should just be, two tough guys going out there fighting for the title. Like, these young guys have no personality and they're not tough. And dude, he just was laying into it. I loved everything he was saying. I love everything about his energy, his attitude, his vibe, as the kids say. Like, I'm like buying all the Yuto Ice stock right now.
Well, you should have bought it. I mean, it's fine to buy it now. You should have bought it, earlier, because now it's starting to rise. But
I didn't trust young blood Yuto Nakashima. The stock wasn't looking strong then.
Too speculative for you. You weren't as bullish as you should have been on it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I really liked the things that he said coming from Gifu. I guess I'm not always the best at knowing who's from which hometown and yada yada. But obviously doing the Tanahashi series, I know he's from Gifu, as was Hashimoto before him. And now Yuto Ice is from Gifu. And he was he's giving these interviews talking about his backstory and saying essentially that the whole reason he got into wrestling is because he was a street fighter in school and the toughest badass in his school, and he was beating everybody's ass, and he wanted everyone to know that he was the toughest person that ever came through the halls of that high school. And someone told him, well, did you not know that there's an IWGP legend that came from this school? And he's like, who's that? And they told him it's Tanahashi. And he's like, all right, well, then I need to become a pro wrestler so I can go beat his ass. That literally is like some Hajime no Ippo type shit. Like, I love that backstory. It's not something you're going to see. I mean, maybe Chris Charlton will bring it up on commentary, but yeah, it's not something that's overly highlighted, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's just been on another level. Like, you know, we talk about these guys trying to find their character, be presented like a star, and I don't know if that's the plan or not to make him this awesome, but he's going out there, grabbing the bull by the horns, and he's just so quickly just kind of come into his own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some of the other good comments here.
Well, I'd say keep looking for him because we're going to talk about these guys here in a moment anyways.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. So he's talking about the push of the young guys. He's like, none of them are scary, right? Nobody's intimidating. Look, I don't care if people call me a thug, a gangster, whatever. Fact is, the more important thing for a pro wrestler is to be able to fight, right? Everybody's a pretty boy athlete. Everybody had a nice upbringing. Nobody's scaring these veterans. Like, this man is about that life, man.
What was the thing that Darby and Sting both said that what in that one promo? They're like, was it they called themselves a hoodlum?
Hoodlums, yeah. Oh,
I can just see like Darby turns around, I'm a hoodlum. Sting turns around, I'm a hoodlum too. And then Utah Ice is like, you know I'm a hoodlum.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we'll talk more about them in a minute here. After that, we're gonna have Hiromu Takahashi, Shingo Takagi, and Yota Tsuji taking on the Bullet Club War Dogs team of Dave Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Taiji Ishimori. So triple preview here. All of these guys will be facing off in a singles action at Destruction in Kobe. Yota Tsuji hasn't really been put out on the English stuff, but he's been missing the non-televised shows due to some kind of sickness. So hopefully he's all good for this show.
Hopefully it's not the Tylenol.
What do you mean?
You know, bro, you didn't hear the news today? Tylenol causes the tism. Yeah. So probably I'm probably one of those people myself. I take Tylenol. It makes sense why I am the way that I am. Bro, this government's gonna get fucking sued. The grifters are about to get grifted. Hiromu, Noah GHC Junior champ. That's pretty cool. Obviously, we've been seeing different iterations on the televised portions of this tour with all three of these guys involved. And while our initial preview of the entire tour, where we talked about the overarching stories, we kind of voiced some of our less than enthused stances on these particular three stories. Night in and night out, the tag matches they're having are the best, generally speaking, on the undercards. So even though I really enjoy the Yuto Ice and Knockout Brothers versus Hantai Vets tag interactions, the actual overall best matches are being had between this trio of War Dogs and unaffiliated. I guess we still don't know what to fucking call them, but I don't know if that will carry over to quality on the card. I mean, I'm not doubting the ability of these guys to go out there and deliver, but there have been inconsistent deliveries from different iterations of these feuds in the past. So hopefully we get the good versions of it all, and they've got great creative to kind of follow up on that.
Yeah, we've seen all these pairings at one point in time have great matches. Gabe and Shingo have had great matches. Taiji Ishimori and Hiromu's had great matches. Finlay and Yota Tsuji, their matches have historically gotten better every time they wrestled. So I think if everything hits right come Sunday, we should get three very good singles matches. But yeah, we have mentioned in the past that sometimes there could be some things where it just doesn't hit, and we have seen these matches a lot between these different rivalries. So yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, when you say like hopefully they hit, you sound like one of those like gambling addicts who's like, I got a triple parlay, and if this hits, and if this hits, And if this hits, I'm gonna be a fucking rich man.
Yeah, stars. I'm betting on the stars. If it hits, we get a lot of stars. So yeah, it should be some good singles matches, and this should be a really good multi-man match. And we've been saying it, pretty much from day one of the show. Like the LIJ / unaffiliated multi-mans are always very good and often the highlights of these Road to cards. And so this tour has been no different. Just Daiki Nagai's been in there a lot through the tour, also not in this match, but overall, yeah, unaffiliated has been very entertaining throughout the tour.
Yeah, there's no Gato or Dick Togo or Daiki Nagai to eat the pinfall, so it is kind of going to be interesting to see what the finish of that match in general will be.
Yeah. Then following that, we'll have the House of Torture, Ren Narita, Sonata, and Yujiro Takahashi taking on TMDK team of Hartley, Jackson, Roy Oiwa, and Zack Sabre Jr. So final preview here for the IWGP World Heavyweight title match between Narita and Zack.
And for no reason at all, Hartley Jackson is going to eat another loss. He's the designated. I've never seen such an impressive specimen of a man who is just the weakest fucking pin taker and pin eater of a faction ever. It makes no sense.
Yeah, and he rocks. Like I don't get it.
He's
like,
great.
Like, why is he the penny?
Right. Like I would understand if he could be a potential pin eater. A guy who isn't necessarily like at the top of. He's the heavy of the group, and every once in a while, but he is the designated pin eater. He is their Yujiro. He is their Chase Owens.
Yeah.
And
he's their
Bushi. Makes no sense. Yeah, he's their Bushi. It makes no sense.
Oh man!
You want to talk about killing kayfabe? Like what are we doing? And there's Yujiro right there, right for the taking. But for some reason, Hartley Jackson is still going to lose.
He's gonna get hit with low blow. He's gonna get a pimp cane. He's gonna get hit with the push-up bar.
Yeah, all sorts. Yeah, he's gonna get garrote wired. All of it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yep.
So not much more to say there. I wish I had something kind of interesting to say about Oiwa. I always feel like when Oiwa's, there, you kind of want to cast some sort of like vision for him, but I don't know what we're doing. So
yeah, same. Then we go into the top two matches of the evening, two title matches. First, the IWGP.
All junior matches, huh? That's
weird. This is what the Junior Destruction. We had the Junior, what was the other one? Junior Genesis. So I guess this is...
Yeah, but Junior Destruction sounds terrible. It sounds like we're destroying the junior division.
So we got the Junior Tag Team title match, House of Tortures, Doki and Sho will defend against the Ichiban Sweet Boys, Kosei Fujita, and our good friend Robbie Eagles.
Bring it home, boys. Okay.
Save the division.
This is completely, people like to say unbiased. No, this is biased. Like I cannot stomach this any longer. End this shit now. Bring our boys home. Let's do it.
Yeah. I want them to win, but I don't know if they are going to win. Because they have made the storyline that Doki and Sho are ruining the division and Ichiban Sweet Boys are going to come and save it. And I don't know, that just kind of feels like Sho and Doki are going to win and keep going on with this title run.
Well, I guess if we were putting on our, long-term projected Booker hats, they do have the Super Junior Tag League coming up. They just recently put all of the October dates on New Japan, for the broadcast on NJPW And I did notice that there are extensive tour dates for that tag team tournament, which I was a little... Well, bro, it's like it's feast or famine with this company. We can't just get like a consistent flow. It's either like you're getting no shows or you're getting 15 shows and you're going to like it, one or the other. And it's like, bro, I can't, can I just get a couple like here and there? And
yeah, like this month's been weird. It's like been very light, like one or two shows a week, sometimes no shows a week. And then, going to October is going to be like 100 shows with the Super Junior Tag League.
But with that being said, we don't know who is in that tournament yet. So it's hard to kind of, try and determine how the outcome of this match might potentially affect that tournament. I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. Before we talked here today, I didn't do my due diligence and think, who are the junior tag teams that exist in this division?
Do we have any teams?
Right. That's like, I can't off the dome. I'm sure there are.
Well, a lot of them are
makeshift.
Yeah, a lot of them are broken up. So you have Catch 22, like Akira's hurt, TJP's not really with the company that much. War Dogs, Drilla's a heavyweight now. Jet Setters, maybe Kevin Knight will come back over, but he's doing a lot of jet speed stuff right now. Who else?
There's the Ichiban Sweet Boys, and there's Doki and Show. Yeah. So it's not quite, the junior division of last year or the year before. That being said, I mean, I guess I think it's totally up in the air. You know what I mean? Like, could you just like say, Doki and Show retain, and then they go into the tournament as the champions? We set up some sort of story where a new redemptive tag team rises up to beat them. Sure, that sounds perfectly fine. At the same time, because I don't know that there is that tag team in the back of my head right this moment that needs the push and needs to be utilized in that way, I think it'd be fine for you to put the titles on the Sweet Boys. Like, they're a proven tag team. It is a hot potato title historically. Like, only recently have we seen more lengthy reigns kind of coming into fruition, and they would have better matches. and they're pretty popular. So I don't know. I think it could go either way. You're probably right that Doki and Show will retain, but we've seen a lot of instances, historically, where the champions drop the belts right before the tour. Why is that? I don't know, but it just seems to be a Gatoism. So I'm just going to go with that and say, like, not only do I want the Sweet Boys to win, but I'm just going to appeal to history and say, like, for whatever reason, Gato likes to Gato, and that's something he likes to do. So let's do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to win. I hope they win. But, this company's all about how to torture. Doki just recently came back. So, I mean, I could see them wanting them going as champions in the league, and you try to, establish a babyface team out of that tournament to challenge them, who I don't know who that would be. But, I mean, I would love it for Sweet Boys to win, and they go into the Dome as champions.
Especially since, TMDK, Zach's about to drop that world title. So you're going to need to have they always like to have a little bit of gold dispersed throughout the groups, keep everybody looking happy and strong. And,
I'm looking at these teams from the Tag League last year. So you had Sweet Boys. So we talked about Clark and Drilla not being there anymore. Last year was Sho and Kanemaru. So that'll be Sho and Doki this year. They had Taguchi and Dragon Daya. Bushi and Oromu, so maybe Nagai could fill in there for Bushi. Tiger Mask and Captain Suicida. Then Catch 2-2. We talked about Time Splitters. They have Taiji Shimori and Robbie X. That could be a team coming back. DKC and Ninja Mac. Well, Ninja Mac's out off the tour for some weird reason. Yo and Rocky. That's not going to happen. Rocky's a heel now. And then Paris da Silva and Jude London.
Which that doesn't seem likely. I mean, maybe they come back, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah. So who knows who they're going to pull together here for this year.
And like, what month are we in? We're in September?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't done my due diligence. I can't pull up a bunch of instances where I can prove emphatically that the titles got dropped right before this tournament, but my gut tells me it happens more often than not. So
yeah,
that's going to be my prediction. And, when I come to the show next week, I'm not going to remember that was my prediction, and it'll never be discussed again.
Then the main event, we have El Desperado defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against Yo.
Yo has had his number. He's like 0-4 against him in their last 4 matches. So there's no way he's fucking beating El Desperado for that. If he does, I mean, who knows? It's 2025 New Japan. They do things that you don't think they should do. And the one time where I'm like, Desperado should definitely not drop this belt, they might just be like, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. So actually they're 3-1 with Yo beating Despy 3 times.
Okay, I was mistaken. I said 4-0, but I meant 3. Or yeah, I meant 3-1. When was the one time Desperado beat him?
I don't know, but he did get 1 win over him here.
That's fine. But like, yeah, Yo has been beating that ass. So there's no way he's going to, in my opinion, there's no way that he is going to do it on the big stage for the big belt.
Yeah, no way. Despi's got to win here. Dude, there's no juice in Yo as a champion right now. Like, I think he's past the peak. Like, he's past the prime. Like, I don't think he's a guy that you go with at this point in the company as a champion.
I think it's fine if you want to give him a gold watch run, whatever. They gave one to Show. It really wasn't anything. So could they give one to Yo? Sure. I'm more concerned about, will this deliver? And Yo is so wildly inconsistent, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes when he called upon, he can really deliver in a big spot. So I'm kind of hoping that's what we see here.
Yeah. Every once in a while, he has these really great matches. So yeah, hopefully that's the case. I expect Desperado to retain, and I don't really understand or get what's going on in the junior division right now. We got Desperado as champion, which we're kind of used to, and then we'll talk about, Hiromu and Taiji Ishimori going into Destruction in Kobe. It's like, all right, what's the game plan here? It seems like we're just kind of going back to a bunch of old programs and nothing new is happening. We had a question here from Les Commission 7252. Says Despi's defense record is at V7. Should he break the record? And if not, then who should take it from him? It would suck to have him drop it before beating the record, just like they did the same for Hiromu in 2023 when he was going for the same accomplishment.
I think that there could be something to the idea of GHC junior champion Hiromu versus IWGP junior champion Despy. Obviously, we've seen that matchup extensively. If you're a longtime listener, a longtime fan of the product, you know about their history. If you don't know, you should probably go check it out, because it's like one of those cardinal rivalries in modern New Japan. With that being said, though, you kind of do need something new and fresh to liven up and raise the stakes and actually make it matter, that match. And both of them being the top 2 junior champions of the top 2, men's wrestling companies in Japan, could probably do that. Now, does that mean it would be a title for, it definitely wouldn't be a unification, of course, but could it be a title for title match?
Maybe.
What's more likely is it would probably be GHC junior champion Hiromu challenging for the IWGP champion. And then that's the dead giveaway. Like, okay, more than likely he's not going to win this belt. And then Hiromu will fuck off and, go drop the Noah title to somebody, who knows, whatever. I don't watch that show, so I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
But I can't, is there anyone in your mind right now, Jeremy, where you're like, they are, and I'm not talking about someone that you see promise in. Okay. I'm not talking about like hypotheticals. I'm talking about like, how we're speaking about Yuto Ice and you can see money there.
Yeah.
Anyone like that right now that you feel confident in that same way in the junior division, that you're like, they need to pass it off. And before you answer, I will say this. That's how I felt about, that's how I thought Doki would be when he came back. He was the only person in my mind where I was like, based on the strength of that title run and his injury, when he comes back, he's the dude, he's got the juice. And obviously that's not happening.
Yeah.
So with that being said, who do you see on the horizon as being, if it's not Hiromu, who do you see as being someone where it's like, yeah, we definitely need to go with that guy next?
Well, my answer would have been Francesco Akira before he got hurt. because I feel like he has done a lot of really great work this year. He's put on a ton of muscle, and I really feel like he's stepped out in a singles since Catch 2-2 was broken up, and he's been learning a lot of Japanese. Again, great matches. There's a built-in story there. He's been trying to beat Desperado, trying to beat Despy for the title. So I was kind of hoping that would be the main story, and he would be the one to beat Despy for the belt.
I see. I'm not sold on Francesco Akira in that way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a Akira denier by any means. I think he definitely has the goods to hold the title. I think it's a great story because of the quality of matches him and Desperado have had with one another. That would make all the sense in the world that they revisit that sooner rather than later and make that something. I just don't see him as the guy that needs the title, is what I'm saying. Like, when I'm trying to think of like who could be like, and maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm selling him a little bit short, because maybe he could be one of those guys in the veins of a Devitt or a Ospreay that he could be a breakout guy. But as of right now, I personally see him as like, to steal a WWE line, I see him as like a B+ player. But I don't, the other person I would think of is like Fujita, right?
Yeah.
And I think Fujita has all the promise in the world, but I don't think he's that different from Akira either. I think those are both guys who you see the potential there. It's definitely possible, but I personally don't see that they have everything right now to where it's like, you got to put the title on them. And that's what I'm wondering, like, where do we go to? And it's a similar question to what we're asking in the heavyweight ranks right now as well. It's kind of the same conundrum, because the only difference is the juniors still have Desperado and Hiromu to kind of rely on. Plus they have, trusted hand, Ishimori. So they've still kind of got a bedrock of guys. Whereas like the heavyweights don't necessarily, everyone else took off for, better paydays,
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like we haven't really got an injection of a lot of new life in the junior division.
I guess those would probably be like your two best answers, unless we're overlooking somebody that I'm not thinking of.
I don't think so. I mean, there's Watto out there, but
those just don't feel like those feel like could be top guys, but not today. Like, I'm not sold today that they will be for sure. Like, I personally think in both cases, there are situations where if you put the title on them, it might be received well initially, but then they're fighting an uphill battle to prove that they're championship contender level worthy carrying the title, as opposed to, which that's not always the worst thing in the world. That's a natural part of wrestling. Lots of guys start that way. But because I'm trying to figure out like how much more juice is in the Despy Hiromu at the top of the juniors, how much juice is left in that fruit that we can squeeze out? I don't know. Where's the next top guy?
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the roster page right now, and I'm like, I don't really see anybody that really pops out. It's like, yeah, they're going to be the guy, the next big star to carry the junior division.
Well, that's promising.
I mean,
with that being said, though, I think that those two answers are probably the best answers that we could possibly give to that answer. Would be either Fujita or Francesco Akira right now.
Do you go in early on a Daiki Nagai?
Okay, and then that's what I'm talking about. But I think it's too early.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying like a guy that you see it all over them and you're like, okay, that person is money. And we're not always right when this is the case, but it's better to have that issue where it's like, I see all the potential in the world and we just got to gamble on them, as opposed to like, maybe they'll make it. Well, let's try them out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be trying people out anymore. I want to be like, yeah, that's the fucking guy. Let's make this work, whatever we got to do. And I think you're probably, and I was trying to remember who it was. Yeah, it's Daiki Nagai. Like that's the guy, but it is still also a fragile balancing act to take someone from young lion to ace of the division, and he hasn't even been on excursion. So, that's kind of the issue you run into.
Yeah, I'm wondering, what the plan is. If they're going to treat him more like Vegeta, he's kind of already following the Vegeta playbook, and then he do like a mini excursion and kind of graduate post-tour and kind of be a full-on, member, unaffiliated, and main roster guy? Or do they do the traditional route and send him away somewhere, send him to CMLL for a year or two, and then come back?
I know we're treading over old territory, but it has to be said, they have to stop being unaffiliated. It's important. They need to be something.
Well, maybe with all these, big matches coming up at Kobe, maybe that will lead to something.
All right. Well, let's jump into the NJPW Destruction in Kobe 2025, Sunday, September 28th, Kobe World Hall. Jeremy, you will be gone for this. Are you going to be watching these shows? What's your plan?
No, well, I'm not going to have any internet, so I'm going to be disconnected from the world. So I will not be watching. I'll have to try and cram when I get back everything.
Gotcha. Okay, no worries. So the first match of the night, we have 6-man tag team action. Shota Umino, Yoshihashi, and Yuya Uemura team up to take on the House of Tortures, Dick Togo, Evil, and Sonata. Quick thoughts.
Yeah, they're continuing to push this whole Umino and Uemura tag team, so I'm assuming they're just going to try to continue to establish them for World Tag League, and then we'll probably get the return of Evil and Sonata as a team for
that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, so
interesting. And in a post Knockout Brothers world where I'm just wondering, are we headed back to House of I think it's this is such an early call, but I could easily see this being a Tokyo Dome tag team title match. Knockout Brothers versus Umino and Uemura versus Evil and Sonata.
That screams,
Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. Yeah. You have Umino and Uemura win World Tag League, but Evil and Sonata pin the Knockout Brothers, and then
some shit like that.
Yeah.
Then people come out and you're gonna be our next challenger, and then can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, my camera disconnected. That's so weird. But then they come out and essentially say something along the lines of oh, well, we beat them, and that's bullshit. Blah, blah. All right, well, we're gonna take all of you guys on. And we get another triple threat match in the Dome. I feel like we haven't had one in a while. But, Wrestle Kingdom is jam-packed full of those historically, so it's not that uncommon.
Yeah, Yuto Ice, he'll be willing to fight everybody, so. So then following that, we'll have another Tanahashi Final Road match with Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Great Okan.
Yeah, so, this is going back to the history between Tanahashi and Great Okan, obviously. When Tomoyoki Oka was a young lion, he was the attendant for Hiroshi Tanahashi. He was the young lion that would, carry his water and his towel and slap the mat and support him the most and blah, blah, blah.
Wash his back in the dojo.
And balls. And, yeah, all the things the Green Boys do. But, when he came back, the Tanahashi match wasn't his first major match, but it was the first major Tokyo Dome match that had everybody believing that Tanahashi had the juice to still perform miracles in the Dome and reintroduce new characters and take them to new heights. And the truth is, Okan was still finding his footing in the company at that time. He'd had the big match with Okada, and it didn't light the world on fire. And the match with Tanahashi also didn't light the world on fire. Okan has rebounded since that time, had ups and downs, peaks and valleys. But there's a long history between him and Tanahashi. So I could see it being a situation where, at this point, there is the part of me that's yeah, Tanahashi's on the road to retirement. He needs to win. But I don't know if the win-loss record heading into the Tokyo Dome really seems to matter much here.
Yeah.
And he might just want to do the favors for Great Okan. So who knows?
Yeah, he's 2-0 against Okan. So Okan's never beaten him. So I could see, this being a big spot for Okan to finally beat Tanahashi, and Tanahashi wanted to put Okan over.
I wouldn't be too shocked by that.
Yeah, so it should be a fine match. I'm sure there will be a lot of emotion and a lot of Okan trying to play the hits with Tanahashi here. But yeah,
what hits? They don't have hits.
Well, trying to make it an emotional matchup.
Well, it's something, So we've found a little bit of a little bit of something in both those matches. Going into the end, with that being said, I think we're both thinking Okan picks up the win here.
Yeah.
Okay. Third match of the night, the never open weight title is on the line as the champion Oleg Boltin defends the title against Don Fale. And hopefully this is the final time we see Don Fale in a major singles matchup situation in Shinihan. Oleg Boltin's going to win this thing, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's the case. Obviously, they've had one singles match before where Boltin beat Fale. But because of that, I'm like, all right, is this 50-50 booking? Fale's new gimmick, Don Fale, did a big angle. He's part of House of Torture. Like, is this a way to get the belt off of Boltin to get Boltin up somewhere else?
If Don Fale wins that title right now, not only we're already on the verge of like being one of the worst booked years of Gato's entire tenure with the company. And I mean, that's I'm talking about even comparing it to like, say 2020, height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
That would be such a huge mistake. The other thing though, is, Don Fale has something on somebody at that point. Like he knows something nefarious.
He knows where the bodies are.
Yeah, bro. He's got some evidence that he is blackmailing somebody. I don't know, Sugabayashi, could be Gato himself. I don't know who Kadani. I don't know who it is. Rocky, not sure, but somebody somewhere is they've got this evidence being lorded over their head, and they have no other recourse but to push Don Fale. That's the only reasonable explanation for what would happen if that was the case. The last thing I'll say about this though is the last time they wrestled, we kind of figured that it was a great learning opportunity for a younger in his career, Oleg Boltin, to get some time to learn how to work with a bigger guy, someone who's kind of experienced, crafty veteran, knows a lot of the tricks, that sort of thing. What the match ended up being was Don Fale doing the laziest, most heatless heat segment that you've ever seen in your life. A control segment that lasted probably 3/4 of the whole match. And then in the end, Oleg Boltin persevered through the onslaught of Bad Luck Fale, was able to body slam him and pick up the win or whatever. This company is I understand. Okay. I understand that when you have a muscle bound individual like Oleg Boltin, right? They're not always apt to do the thing that bookers in North America like to do, which is book them like a juggernaut, let them run through people and establish that they're a force. And I think part of the reason that they have that hesitancy is because it is a work rate promotion. It is a place where guys need to prove that they understand their craft and give the people what they paid for in terms of like the entertainment. That's all well and good. In my mind at this point, Oleg Boltin has done more than enough of that. And I think that sometimes in situations like this, I know that they tell the really big super heavyweights, more monster. We want you to be more monster, but like they should let guys like Oleg Boltin be more powerhouse, more fucking dominant powerhouse guy. the ideal situation for this match, and this is the only ideal situation. It's not, and I'm not saying this because I don't like Don Fale. The truth is, I don't like Don Fale as a wrestler. I don't want to watch him wrestle. But with that being said, that's neither here nor there. Oleg Boltin at this stage should not be struggling with a guy like Don Fale at all. He should run through him. No control segment, no heat segment, no cutoff, no comeback. He should dominate him and beat him in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And wipe his hands of him.
This should be Brock and Cena from WrestlePalooza.
I did not see that match.
I didn't see it either, but I heard it was like a couple minutes and Brock just threw Cena around, bunch of F5s.
No, I don't think it was that. I saw one of those like little, where they do the video of it, and it was the Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah, finisher spam.
It was the finisher spam match. It wasn't the Suplex City match. It was a bunch of AAs and a bunch of F5s, and they both kept kicking out, apparently. So take that for what it's worth. And that's not what this should be. This should not be that. This should be a Goldberg match where Oleg Boltin runs through Fale, and he should do to Fale how Brock Lesnar did to like Mark Henry back in the day.
Yeah, the match should be bell rings, Fale goes for the spike, Oleg ducks, picks him up, F5, 1, 2, 3.
That would be really impressive, but I would almost like it to be like Don Fale keeps trying to come back and he just blocks it every time.
Yeah.
And he gets all of his big shit offense in on him, and then it's not a flash knockout. It's a thorough domination, and it's a quick one. Dissection. Boom. Get him out of there. Because it's like, it's time to start doing some exciting things, and it's time to take some chances. I'm not saying you need to make Oleg Boltin do that to everybody for forever, but this is the prime opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, I think you really put a stamp on, all right, this guy is a badass. He's super strong. Like, he destroyed this monster, Fale, in seconds. Like, who's going to beat this guy? And you can kind of create some aura around him. And like you mentioned, I feel like Boltin has proven himself in the ring. Those Takeshita matches this year were great. And he's had a couple other really good matches this year. And I think he's coming into his own. He's to the point now where I think you can trust him with a push and put him in there with some other guys and count on him to have a really good match. And I think, yeah, Fale, obviously, he's not going to have a good match with. So why waste the time of making them have to do this whole David Goliath thing and have this long, drawn-out match when you can just have Boltin, run through him in a couple minutes and kind of really establish him and make him a top attraction going into the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, and I mean, you might not ever have this opportunity again. Fale seems like a guy that's winding down. He always talks about respecting and loving the business. Well, brother, there's a time to go out on your shield and give back to the business. This is that time. You want to make a star? Do it going out on your back,
Yeah, he's always talking about pin me, pay me. So hopefully that's all he cares about. And let's Boltin hit him with that F5.
Following that, we have an IWGP Tag Team title match as the championship team of Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii defend the titles against the new challengers, the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice of the Bullet Club War Dogs. And I'm firmly in the camp. I think Oscar and Yuto Ice are taking this one home.
Yeah. They should. Again, I don't know. I'm feeling some kind of way about Gato's booking. Like, I think obviously the right choice, like the only choice there really is having Yuto and Oscar win, and it's a great match, but they just wreck Ishii and Taichi and become the champions. My only hesitation, which I mentioned last week, was they have been pushed really strong. Like, on every Road 2 show, they're leaving Taichi and Ishii laying. They had Ishii busted open. Ishii had to be like carried to the back by young Lion. Ishii's like never carried to the back. And so they have really pushed them super strong. And I'm worried they've done that because they're losing. And so they've got them looking super strong, going into the match, they're stars. And then Ishii and Taichi just happen to pull it out. The veterans slip one on them, and then they have to come back around and win. Also, I don't think that's what they should do, but there's a part of me that's like, I could easily see Gato doing that.
You're not entirely wrong. There is some rationale for that. It's less likely they do that when it's a heel.
Yeah.
My 2 cents. Plus, it's the tag team titles. If it was the white belt or something like that, that'd be different. I'm less hesitant to see them pull the trigger. You're right. It is Gato's booking. You just never know. But I mean, we're looking at the first 4 matches here, and it seems pretty clear either the outcome or the direction of where we should be going with this. I don't see the upside of Taichi and Ishii retaining realistically.
Yeah, as great as a team as they are, and they could have been had their title reign happen earlier or later in the year. I don't think you go with them right now. Keep talking about the youth movement and getting the young guys over, and so I think they got gift wrapped at a perfect opportunity here. Like Yuto and Ice and Oscar are hitting. Like how often do you have like the fans clamoring for a tag team and getting, really behind a tag team title match because of a new team coming in? So I think all the stars are aligned. I think it's, given to them on a platter. Like this should be them hitting the KOB on Taichi or Ishii and getting the win. And that's what I'm going to go with. But there is, I wouldn't be surprised if I came back and I see that Taichi and Ishii are still champions.
Well, hey, if I led you astray in my reasoning, then that's on me. So
no, I mean, you're right. I mean, the right thing to do, like the only smart thing to do, is to have Yuto, Ice, and Oscar win, have them go into the Dome as the champions. Do the whole 3-way, 4-way that we talked about earlier. But I can easily see Gato being like, yeah, no, they got to earn it, and we're gonna have Taichi and Ishii win, and I'd rather have to go in a World Tag League to try and get into the Dome.
5th match of the night, Taiji Ishimori versus Hiromu Takahashi, a special singles match in the junior division. And we had a question here from Rambone Slam Pig. He says, do you think Hiromu having a special singles match on the Destruction card is a setup for some kind of angle to move the unaffiliated situation along finally? Possibly a return of Naito and Bushi to set up something for the Tokyo Dome, ?
I don't think we'll see anything set up with Naito and Bushi here. I mean, overall, it's just kind of the theme of the night. There's a lot of War Dogs versus unaffiliated. So I don't really think it's the angle or anything. Hopefully at the end of the series, maybe something will happen with these guys, but I can just see these guys still being unaffiliated. I wish they had put the title on the line for this, considering that, Ishimori, one of the longest reigning GHC junior champions, it could be a cool thing for him to try and get that belt back from Hiromu. It could have added another interesting wrinkle to this match.
Yeah, I hadn't actually even thought about that. Like, Ishimori's been in New Japan for so long at this point that I don't give a lot of thought to his ties to Noah. But that's absolutely the case, and that's there for sure. At the same time, I don't really know how much synergy there is at this current time between the two companies. I know there's some, but not quite as much as there was in the past. And I don't know if it's a situation where they necessarily want that title being crossed over and defended on another company's show, sort of thing. So who knows? I would love for there to be an angle that forwards the unaffiliated situation. I would love that. What that might be, I couldn't 100% speculate, because honestly, I could be wrong here. I don't necessarily see Hiromu as being the potential leader of that sort of thing. And I find it to be, now, is it impossible that he would clearly be an important part of that group moving forward? So could he be involved in a initial angle, whatever that may be, to forward the storyline? Sure. Mm-hmm. But I do find it more likely to be centered around whoever's going to be the actual leader of the group, which is more than likely Tsuji at this point. I did think it was an interesting thing, though, when he brought up Naito and Bushi, because I could see, with the potential of Naito returning in the Tokyo Dome, I don't think that there would be like a Naito and Bushi show up and they're going to fight with their old compatriots. I don't see that being the case, especially since last year we already got the big Naito and Hiromu match, unless they want to revisit that. But I would.
There's no reason to.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something that covered over to Noah involving Naito and Bushi, because they're in that freelance status. I think it's definitely a possibility still that if they're healthy, especially Bushi or Naito, that he could go over there and work dates. And I know some people are probably thinking like, how likely is something like that to happen? But like, even just, it's probably forgotten, but earlier this year, we saw the initial angle between Kenta and who was it that what's wrong with me? I'm leader of Congo.
Oh, Kano.
Yeah, Kano and Kenta had that initial angle between one another in New Japan that led to Kenta's departure from the company and had that initial match with Kano over there. I think it would be cool to have something pop up with Naito and Hiromu that carries over to Noah, establishes Noah relationships for these for, you know, what do they call themselves? They're not
the Los Tranquilos de Japón.
Yeah, the Los Tranquilos guys. But it would also kind of throw that little bit of juice in there to be like, Naito's a little bit in the fold. Wrestle Kingdom's not far away. It could happen, you know, and it probably will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is on the, you know, it's on the docket. With that all being said, because I've kind of just talked around the match itself. We've seen Hiromu and Ishimori a million times. I'm never as big on the match as everybody else seems to be, but they know each other like the back of their hands, and I think Hiromu's going to win here. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah, I'm going for Hiromu winning as well.
Any final thoughts you want to add to that?
No, I mean, it should be a very good match. I mean, yeah, it would be cool for there to be some kind of angle. I mean, if there is going to be some forwarding of unaffiliated, like you said, I don't think it's going to happen with this match. It'll probably happen at the end of the white belt match, and that's the last match in the series between these two factions here. So yeah, hopefully something cool happens, but in this match, I just expect Hiromu to retain and roll into the next one.
And oftentimes when you see a big special singles match like this, it is usually a de facto number one contender match for whatever the title is. I do think it's interesting. On the one hand, you've got Desperado headlining the show prior to this. And on the one hand, you could say like, well, he's main eventing, so it's a bigger spot, but it's on the smaller card versus Ishimori and Hiromu. They're on the big show, but you know, they're the fifth match of the night. They're not like in the top business, you know, so there's give and take there to see like which is the better positioning, the better, more prestigious slotting. But I do think it's going to lead to a Hiromu Desperado program.
Yeah, which I know we were kind of down on that happening again, but I guess it could be cool to have the whole champion versus champion addition to their rivalry.
It's Kelly Clarkson here to talk all things Wayfair, the best place to buy furniture, decor, and anything else you can think of to create a home you absolutely love. I know when I shop with Wayfair, I find options for every style, whether I'm feeling boho or farmhouse, modern, traditional, French country. I can find exactly what I need for my home and more. No matter your space, style, or budget, shop Wayfair.com to make your home way more you.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
A mochi moment from Tara, who writes, "For years, all my doctor said was eat less and move more, which never worked. But you know what does? The simple eating tips from my nutritionist at Mochi. And after losing over 30 pounds, I can say you're not just another GLP-1 source. You're a life source. Thanks, Tara. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Tara is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
Dave Finlay versus Yota Tsuji is the sixth match of the night. I felt like, honestly, it was several weeks back, but when we did our first preview for the entire tour and talked about, you know, in a post G1 world, what is the landscape of New Japan? And I felt like the one title picture matchup situation that we discussed at length and at nauseum was the David Finlay Yota Tsuji situation. If you guys haven't listened to that, I would highly recommend it. And I personally don't want to retread over all the exact same talking points, because that was the one that I felt like we really dug in extensively. But what I will say is this is a matchup that has gotten better over time. They have a lot of history with one another, and there's a lot of different potential booking ways they could go with the outcome of this match. I'm not sold on what they will do, but my guess right now is going to be David Finlay wins.
Yeah, this is a hard one to predict. First of all, I will say they did a great job really heating this matchup, because following the match on G1, it kind of seemed like they had built like this mutual respect, and there had seemed to be a little bit of kind of funny ha-ha rivalry between them. But then on this tour,
not anymore.
Yeah, they turned it up, and they were brawling all throughout the arenas on a lot of these Road 2 shows. So they did a great job heating it up and getting some intrigue in the match. But I feel like the thing is, every time they wrestle, it's always a situation of like, both these guys need to win. And I want both these guys to win and go on to bigger things, but it's like, who do you go with? And yeah, you could go with Finlay, and then maybe that potentially leads Finlay to challenging for the world title at actually the King of Pro Wrestling match is already established, so Power Struggle, maybe he could be the challenger at Power Struggle, or maybe he challenges the winner of Gabe Shingo. And I guess you could say the same for Tsuji. He could also challenge the white belt winner as well. But I feel like both these guys need a big win. I feel like they've kind of stalled out since after G1, and I think they're both important guys to get heated up going into the Tokyo Dome. And so I think a loss here is going to really hurt their momentum going into January.
All right, you sold me, Jeremy. I understand what's going to happen here. Whether you meant to say it or not, it's either going to be a 60-minute time limit draw, a double knockout, a double count out, a no decision, or they'll both pin each other at the same time, and it's going to be one of those types of finishes. And then we're actually going to have to do this match 2 more times before the Dome, where we get the definitive. So that's what's happening here. No, I think it is interesting though. Like I just mentioned earlier, oftentimes special singles matches typically lead to someone progressing and potentially challenging for a title. But we already know that at the next major KOPW show, the winner of the IWGP World title is defending that title against the G1 winner, Konosuke Takeshita. So with that being said, you would have to figure that the winner of this match, as high up as it is on the card program, the winner would most likely be challenging for the white belt. Mm-hmm. But you have another War Dog and unaffiliated guy involved in that match as well. So it's just kind of interesting to be like, where would they take that if that is the way they intend to go?
Yeah, and I think with Finlay winning, I think that you can go either way. You can do Finlay versus Shingo. Shingo ends up beating Gabe, or there's a whole intriguing story of Finlay versus Gabe, which people have been talking about and wanting to see. And so
I think it's too soon for that, though.
It could be, but how long do you have Gabe to tell that story?
Well, if Gabe's leaving, he loses that feud. So it's the send-off for him. So it doesn't need to be lengthy. You don't need to start it now. You do it one time at the Dome. You beat his ass and he's gone. Like, I've been talking with Rich, and he plays, he said he's been playing like Fight Night Round 3, which I played all the fight nights, and Round 3 is not my favorite, but I guess some of his friends like to play that version. So he's been playing it again. And it reminded me, like, there was this time where my buddy Elijah, we both love Fight Night Round 3, and we were both really good at it, but he's a little older than me, better than me at it. And one time, I can't remember what the circumstances, but I just happened to be on, and I beat his ass and I knocked him out. Actually, you know what? I don't think I knocked him out. What I think happened is I think I stopped him on cuts. Because in that game, you could like headbutt them, open that shit up and elbow them and then just keep jabbing at it until it like gets real. And yeah, I stopped him on cuts. And then he was like, all right, I want a rematch. And I was like, nah, I beat you.
Nah, player.
There's no reason why would we do that? You got to work your way. Like The Rock said, like you got to go back to, you got to fight the Brooklyn Brawler. You got to start back at the bottom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all to just say. I think if we are going to do Finley and Gabe Kidd, it's not going to be a prolonged feud. At one point it could have been and probably should have been, but it probably won't be. If they ever do that, it'll be like the send off for Gabe, get him out of the company basically.
Yeah. I think another interesting thing to mention is they're 1-1 in this year. So we had Tsuji winning at Wrestle Kingdom, Finley winning their match in the G1. Overall, they're 3-2 with Tsuji winning, but this year they're 1-1. So this is the rubber match this year. So again, they've kind of kept these guys very neck and neck and kind of on the same level.
Well, I think we're starting, for me, I feel like we're starting to tread into the what if scenarios. And I felt like we laid out some really good plans about 4 weeks ago when we did that episode. And I don't want to redo all that. With that being said, though, it's a do or die situation, and we're so close to Tokyo Dome. There's only basically two other major shows before World Tag League, which is like, that's almost like the start of the new year.
Yeah.
So it's not the best timing necessarily, because you got to figure both of these guys are going to be players in the Tokyo Dome. They're going to have some sort of, maybe not main event sort of status, but they're going to be somewhere on that card in an important role. And you have to wonder where that is, especially since a lot of people, here's one way you could go with it. And I just thought of this. A lot of people do think that it might be Tsuji Takeshita in the Dome still.
Yeah.
What if this Tsuji win is like the start of that projection to get him there? There's also that.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. Have him get a bigger win here, then he can beat somebody else at King of Pro Wrestling. He beats somebody else at Power Struggle, then he has 3 big wins in a row. And it's like, all right, we've built him up. We established him. Let's send him after Takeshita.
The most important thing out of all of this, either guy could afford the loss if you have the right creative set up between now and January 4th. And that's the most important aspect of all of this. But with that being said, I feel like there is possibly, if you want to give a push to Tsuji, then a long-term booking plan is more important here. If you are thinking more of like short-term repercussions, I feel like David Finlay being the next challenger for the white belt is pretty much a given. So take that for what it's worth. I'm almost starting to talk myself into thinking Tsuji's going to win, but I'm not fully sold on that. So
I think I'm going with Tsuji here.
I think I'm going to go with Dave Finlay here. And we can talk about the next match and I'll tell you why. So the semi-main event of the evening, we've got Gabe Kidd defending the IWGP Global Heavyweight title against the challenger Shingo Takagi. We do have a question here. Rambone Slam Pig says, do you think Gabe is dropping the white belt in Kobe? If so, what role do you see him playing for the remainder of the year?
I don't think so. I know there's a lot of speculation on Gabe's future and where he's going to land, but I think at this point you keep him as global champion, going to the Tokyo Dome, and you build a big match for him there where he drops the belt.
I did see a booking. I don't remember what it was, but there was a booking either the day before or the day of King of Pro Wrestling that has Gabe Kidd on it.
Yeah, I think it's we're talking about is it the Carl Fredericks match?
It is. Yeah. He's wrestling Carl Fredericks in California?
Yeah, it's for one of those California indies. Well, I posted it in
Prestige,
the Discord. Let me see if I can find it.
That's very suspect timing. If he is intended to be the global champion, you would expect for him to be on that show. And I don't know if the math works out perfectly for him to be able to wrestle, on that show.
So it's actually November 1st, so it's way after King of Pro Wrestling.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, well then,
I think it's right before Power Struggle is when this match is happening.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, that's what it is. It's right before Power. So what day is that? That's November 1st in the US.
Yep, and this is at West Coast Pro.
Okay. And then Power Struggle, what year is it? 2025. If I can find the freaking date, what's the date of Power Struggle 2025? Do we not know yet?
It is not listed. So there is a Junior Tag League Tour. Then there's a Tanahashi Final Homecoming show November 2nd. New Japan Road November 8th. And then World Tag League. So unless they're skipping Power Struggle.
They're actually, what I'm reading here, it sounds like I don't know if this is confirmed, but the rumor is that because the Edion Arena is under construction or being refurbished, they're going to replace it with a Tanahashi homecoming show in Gifu.
Gotcha. Yeah, Gifu Memorial Center. Yeah, that's November 2nd, which is normally around the time where Power Struggle would happen.
Okay, so actually this even changes some of my brain's thinking here, because we don't have that second established really big, landmark show of the year. But it also, at the same time, if it's going to be a Tanahashi homecoming, they're probably going to treat it as a somewhat semi-important show, similar to the Tanahashi Jam treatment.
Yeah,
which begs the question, is that a situation where you need the white belt involved in a show of that caliber? And the question is, maybe, depending on like how big they're trying to push the show. If it is the equivalent of Power Struggle, I would say definitely,
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder, like, is he still going to have that belt by then? And if not, like, I think that this is potentially a really good place. If you did want to get the title off of him, doing it in Kobe against Shingo is that time. Normally, I would not say that Shingo should be beating him. Shingo has not had the most successful year. I mean, he's had great matches, but he hasn't, kayfabe wise, he hasn't had like a thrilling year. He's lost in a lot of big spots, and that's also kind of been a theme for him the last few years, just in general. Gabe was on fire at the beginning of the year. Even though he's had a somewhat lengthy title reign, it hasn't been the most, definitive, defining title reign. Mm-hmm. So you would almost kind of think like, hey, if we want to recapture some of that juice, we probably want to push this guy. This is a good opponent for him to do that with. But if you are of the understanding that this guy's on his way out and it's time to get the title off him now, and perhaps you think that the send-off isn't really going to center around the title, it's going to center more around potentially, War Dog's faction feud between him and Finlay, now's not a bad time to take that belt off him, honestly, especially since it's Kobe World, the Dragon Gate connection with Shingo and everything like that. Be pretty shocking too.
Yeah, you definitely could go that way, but I don't know. I feel like Kid's going to be sticking around for a little bit longer to where you can get some more juice at this title reign. They are 2-1 with Shingo having more wins there in the rivalry, so I could see Kid getting the win. You even up their overall record 2-2, and it's a kind of a big win for him to beat Shingo in his home area where he used to be in Dragon Gate and wrestled several big main events in Kobe World Hall. So it could be a kind of a nice achievement there for Gabe Kidd to beat Shingo here. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Gabe.
Do you think it's possible then that like where we're actually heading is Shingo or Gabe wins here, Tsuji wins his match, and then they just say right here, right now, at the end of this, let's wrestle at the Dome, and that's the big white belt match between them two, the rematch?
You could do that and start build early, but yeah, do you then not do a global match at like King of Pro Wrestling which is a pretty big show. Do you not do something at the Tanahashi show?
That's kind of why I'm asking you, because I'm not totally sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it
might be too early.
Yeah, if they're not gonna do Tsuji Takeshita, they probably could do Tsuji Gabe again and try to reignite that at King of Pro Wrestling.
Here was my thinking, and this is a little bit different. I think that the Tsuji white belt experiment was kind of a flop a little bit. Not the worst failure in the world, but not quite the success you'd hoped it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Gabe Kidd for a myriad of reasons. So my thinking is you put the title on Shingo now, big upset, sometimes you need to have title changes on cards like this, keep things fresh and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the world title is not going to get dropped in the next match. Then that sets up the potential of Finlay challenging against Shingo. And it's almost a little bit like there could be like some snarkiness, like you couldn't get it fucking done. Big brother's got to step in, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe perhaps he fails too. And that's the impetus, the start of the rift coming out of King of Pro Wrestling between those two guys that maybe leads to a dome match. And in the meantime, Shingo has beaten two top class guys from the War Dogs. He kind of puts the War Dogs behind him. Now he's primed and ready to go to drop that title in the Tokyo Dome against whoever it is that you want to get prepared for that spot. We keep talking about all of these, all of these like Reiwa guys that we want to have a big opportunity, but how can they have that big opportunity if all of these other players are involved and kind of taking up that position and kind of edging them out? If you put Shingo in the title position, he's perfect to just be the guy to lay down and elevate whoever it is that they put him in there with. And it could be, you take your pick. I don't know which guy you want to do that with. It could be Tsuji, Oiwa, Uemura, whoever, but Narita, by that time he's not gonna be champion, whoever you want that to be. But like, there's your golden opportunity to get one of those Reiwa guys over.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Tsuji. Tsuji Shingo match would be very interesting, especially with this whole unaffiliated thing happening. What they're doing? Are they going to be a faction? Who's going to be in charge of the faction? So that could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, because I know Tsuji would be losing here, but this is still just September. I mean, we've got 4 to 5 months. I know there's not a lot of major shows coming up, but I think there's enough where if you really wanted to get him back, and plus it's New Japan, they're not beholden to a top 10 rankings. This is AEW circa 2021.
Yeah.
So
lose your way up.
Yeah, people lose their way up. So I think it's totally possible that something like that could be on the books. That's my thinking. So that's, of course, I didn't win the G1 Climax pick'ems. So,
yeah, I'm gonna stick with Gabe here, and
well, then where do you see it going then? Just for shits and giggles.
So I think with Tsuji winning, you probably try to do Gabe Tsuji 3 at King of Pro Wrestling.
Okay, so not in the Dome. That's off the table for the Dome, but you're gonna do it at KOPW.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, and I think that's a match that we are both pretty excited about either way. I think Gabe and Shingo is always a great matchup. And then that's going to take us to the final match of the evening, the main event. The IWGP World Heavyweight title is on the line as the champion, Zack Sabre Jr., defends that title against the number one contender, Ren Narita. Winner of that match will not only be the champion, but will go on in October to defend that title against the G1 champion, Konosuke Takeshita at King of Pro Wrestling. We did have one question here from Careford 13. Says, I'm sure Zack and Narita will be a good main event, hopefully better than their G1 match, but with Takeshita challenging next month, would it be a stronger move for Takeshita to lose his world title match if they plan on having him face Okada at Wrestle Kingdom? that way it wouldn't make him a transitional champion if they want him to drop the belt to Tsuji at Wrestle Kingdom in the main event. We can have Zack drop it to Tsuji instead.
So he's saying Takeshita should lose at KOPW.
I'm trying to figure it out myself. I'm like, this is a lot of moving parts here.
It sounds like one of those math word problems.
Bro, I'm terrible at those. Bro, I saw one the other day. It was like, all right, if Karen has a daughter and her daughter is this person and the mother of this person, what is her relationship to this person? I was like, bro, I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Sorry. So he's saying.
So let's take it step by step. See, here's the thing. I didn't need to comprehend what I was reading. I just needed to read it as clearly as I could without, you just go into autopilot mode. It's like, yeah, it's a challenge next month. Would it be stronger move? But I'm not really getting what he's saying here.
Yeah. So he's saying, all right. So Takeshita should he lose the world title match against Zack?
Okay, so he loses to Zack because they plan on having him wrestle Okada in the Dome in a non-title affair, essentially is what he's saying. Or I would assume at that point, maybe, quote unquote, a continental title match.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way it wouldn't make him a transitional champ if they want him to drop the belt to Tsuji at Wrestle Kingdom in the main event. We can have Zack drop it to Tsuji.
Okay. But at the same time, see, I guess what's confusing about that is because he's giving us the equivalency of him wrestling Okada and Tsuji as both being options, Yeah. And that's why it's creating some confusion. But I'm picking up what he's saying there. Regardless, I think that's more of a question about the future. As far as this match goes, I think that the Zack and Narita match, there's no way Zack's losing here. It would, there's no way Narita is carrying that title into the Dome. And there's no way that Narita would be the guy to drop it to Takeshita. Neither of those are viable options for him, So in the famous words of Dusty Rose, that's not for you, baby. So since that's not for him, he's definitely going to lose here. I do hope it's a good match. Unlike
I've been very happy with what I've seen in the previews. Like I mentioned last week, like this has been pretty intense interaction between both of them, and they've kind of limited the House of Torture shenanigans around them. And so when it's just them in there mixing it up, striking, exchanging submission holds, like it's been pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and we know that they have good chemistry, not just based off the G1 match, but also their previous matches prior to that. So the chances that the match will be good, I think it's highly unlikely that the match will be outright bad. I don't think that's even a possibility at this point. But the more you add Bullet Club, or not Bullet Club, but House of Torture shenanigans into the match, then that starts to detract from what the match could be. And I don't think, even though we haven't seen a lot, of it in the buildup, that doesn't mean that we're not going to see any of it in the match. I think it's highly likely we will see some of it in the match.
Yeah, I mean, and the good thing is Zack, hopefully he'll have all of TMDK out there to kind of fight off House of Torture. So hopefully that could help minimize the shenanigans.
But the other thing too is that for me, Narita tends to rise better to occasions when it's like he's going to win. And I don't know if it's a situation where he's going to lose and he's going to give us the same sort of effort as he did in the G1 match. This question that was asked almost seemed to imply that he said, hopefully it's better than the match in the G1, which seems to imply potentially that they didn't love that match. I thought that match was really, really good. And I think it's actually a high bar for them to surpass. And I'm not convinced that they will in fact have a better match than that.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can, if they just went out there and it was just pure Zack Narita, no shenanigans, I feel like they could surpass the G1 match. But I feel like it's a big ask for Gato in 2025 to not have House Torture shenanigans in a match like this. And so there's going to be guys running in. There's going to be ref bumps. There's going to be, garrotes and push-up bars, all that stuff. So I think that will hamper the match. But if they could keep that down to the minimum, they could match the G1 match.
Yeah, I think that the match will be good. And I think it's a foregone conclusion that Zack is going to win here. Because Zack is going to win here, that leads me to be a little bit more apt to predict some of these other title changes. Like, because I'm not convinced Don Fale is going to beat Oleg Boltin. Wouldn't be the first time that Gato's ever put a strap on what am I? Pause.
That's going to get clipped.
Wouldn't be the first time that Gato had ever put a title on Don Fale unexpectedly. But with that being the case, I think that's highly unlikely. And that leads me to believe that like the tag team titles and the global titles are much more likely to potentially be title changes here. And then, from there, we already know where this is headed. It's headed to Zack versus Takeshita 3, which for an in-ring program for the year, probably on the docket for like best, in-ring feud of the year, just based on the quality of matches. Even though I didn't love the first one.
Yeah, the semifinal match was
very good.
It was incredible. So I think all roads point to Zack versus Takeshita 3, and I think
it's kind of made this whole thing a formality at this point, honestly. Yeah,
and then also I think with Narita beating Zack, and actually Narita kind of holds the record over Zack right now, 2-1. So there are seeds of doubt, like, oh, maybe Narita could win, but I think it's an easy layup here. You go Zack, you build that third matchup. And then, going back to Les Commission's question, I think that Takeshita wins. Like, I don't think you have Takeshita win the G1 to then not win the title. I think he wins the title and he's going into Tokyo Dome as champion.
I'm starting to feel, Jeremy, and maybe others would disagree with me on this, but I'm starting to feel the real answer that's probably needed at this point in time to solve this G1 title conundrum Tokyo Dome situation is a permanent move of the G1 Climax to the third quarter of the year.
So kind of like what they were doing COVID
during the pandemic.
Yeah. And we had these like autumn G1s.
Yeah. I'd be fine with autumn. I'd even be fine with like early December or like early winter as well. I don't know how all of that works out with the, the travel arrangements and the scheduling around Japan. So I don't want to speak too much on that, from a business perspective, but it's like this. I don't think that answer would make traditionalists, those who love the idea of the August G1 Climax. And that is a thing. And I get it. I'm right there with you,
Strongest of the summer.
Strongest of the summer, Mr. August. I get that shit. But it's been over a decade and we've had the same ongoing problem. The issue before was we wanted to move towards the winner of the G1 wrestles in the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. But that's September, October, November, December, January. That's a 5-month time gap that you have to figure out how to fill the time. And for so many years, it was like, all right, we'll put a briefcase on this guy. He'll defend his title shot. The champion will defend his belt. And then we'll let the chips fall how they may. More often than not, the champion didn't lose any of those matches. More often, sometimes they did. It was rare, but sometimes. And almost never did the briefcase holder drop the briefcase. And it became the question of like, well, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if they drop the briefcase, then you've made the G1 worthless. But if they never drop the briefcase, this is all so predictable. It's boring that this is even happening in the first place. So it's got to happen eventually. And then when it did happen, that led to the double gold and the triple gold and all the fucking dashes that we ended up doing.
Went to Kota Ibushi looking like an idiot.
Right. And then finally, in the last year or so, we've started to kind of move away from that, where it's like, okay, there is this precedence and history where, yeah, the G1 winner didn't always go to the Dome for the title shot, right? And I thought it was a cool, inventive thing to do that last year with Zack, but it created very real business issues and an underperforming Dome. And I don't think it's just exclusively due to the fact that Zack was a bad choice, but I think that the follow-up and the booking that led into it wasn't conducive to a strong Tokyo Dome main event. And so there's a lot of people that point to that and they're like, we need to go back to what we had. But if you go back to what we had, you're going to wind up with the exact same situation that we had for the last 13 years. The answer is, if you don't want to do Dome shows at any other point of the year other than January 4th, you got to move the G1. They'll probably never do it, but sometimes I've made suggestions on this show and sometimes they've done it. I think I was one of the first people that said they need to start doing multiple nights for the Tokyo Dome. They did that. So you never know.
And you
I did the four block G1.
Yeah. That one wasn't so great though.
Yeah, that didn't work out. Actually, neither of those really worked out. So,
yeah, I mean, I see the argument for that to, tighten up the space between G1 and the Dome and kind of have your established main event going in. But if you didn't want to do that and you want to keep things the way they are, they just need a plan. Like last year, Zack won the belt, cool. But then there was no strong follow-up to make Umino a credible challenger. Like he had a crappy G1 from kayfabe and in-ring perspective. Like they did nothing to build him up in that G1. And then, he's losing all these matches and he just walks out and challenges. Like, it was just, there was no juice there. And so with Takeshita, with the plan, if Takeshita's winning here, there needs to be a challenger established. So kind of going back to what we were mentioning earlier, like if it's going to be Tsuji, if Tsuji beats Finlay and you keep Tsuji at the white belt and you keep having Tsuji win, then there's some heat there. You build Tsuji up and he's a credible challenger because he's winning all these matches. And there's a history there with him and Takeshita. You have him challenge. But if you just have somebody random come out who hasn't been winning, there's no story, there's no juice, then yeah, you're going to have a flat main event.
Yeah, I think I think what a lot of people did in that situation last year is they pointed to, this is different than what we did in the past, and it made the G1 less prestigious. And I think there is some validity to that argument. But I agree with you. I think if you had the right creative direction and planning to follow up with Zack's win, then a lot of that argument goes out the window. And it's very clear they didn't have that. So, you know what I mean? It's a little give and take there. At the same time, I don't think this is a company that can really afford to gamble too much with what they want to do moving forward when it comes to the business in the Tokyo Dome. Mm-hmm. Now they got a little bit of help here this year, obviously, because of Aaron Wolf and because of Tanahashi's retirement. They still need to have, for the sake of the company, for the kayfabe, for the validity of what we're doing here, the title's still the title. I mean, it's the biggest thing. The G1's the biggest tournament. They got to figure this shit out. And it's one of two things. They could do what you're saying. And I'm not opposed to that. Me as a traditionalist, I mean, I remember when the G1 winner didn't just automatically go to 1-4. Like there were plenty of times where they challenged at other dates and that was fine. But if that's what we want to do and business is not necessarily the healthiest, then you better have a compelling ass match planned and promotion to get to that match between whenever that title matches where the G1 winner challenges and the Tokyo Dome. Here's the other issue with that, Jeremy, though, is what about, and this goes back to the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't. Remember we were talking about that with the briefcase. Mm-hmm. Well, what about when the G1 winner loses in October at King of Pro Wrestling and now they're just out?
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Because you kind of got, if that's where we're going and you're going to make it more of a tradition to not always go to 1-4 with the title challenge, then they got to lose at some point. And doesn't that kind of suck?
Yeah, then you're out. Then where do you go from there? Yeah, the G1 winner's out. Like, yeah, what's the main event that way? Yeah.
That's why, like, I'm not opposed to what you're saying, but I'm looking at all the angles, and I'm like, as terrible as it sounds, moving the G1 later in the year is probably the most reasonable thing you could do. Now, there is always the talk of the heat, the summer travel in Japan, and the heat and the negative about that. But I don't know what the business metric, like what the business optics are as far as like culture, travel, weather, it's the summer. I know a lot of people are like have time off, and maybe that's not the case later in the year. So I don't know if that could even work, but they did it during the pandemic out of necessity, but they definitely did it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's never been done.
Because they did it it was like 2 or 3 years in a row they did it.
They did a couple of years, yeah. So, I know everyone loves the idea of a summer G1, but I'm just kind of like, man, it would really shift the entire tone of the whole year. And then it would just make it a lot simpler to where you're just like, okay, the G1 winner goes to the Tokyo Dome, and instead of having 5 months to fill, you have 2 months to fill. And one of those months is World Tag League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And a lot less headache about how do we fill the time? How do we make it happen? It's like, it's kind of the same thing as like Royal Rumble and WrestleMania,
Mm-hmm.
What if Royal Rumble was held instead of January, it was held in like, late October. And then we got to get on the road to WrestleMania starting in early November. The road to WrestleMania starts with Survivor Series.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time to fill. I think that's just the simple answer. They just kind of probably need to push it back.
Yeah, I think, that could alleviate a lot of problems. And yeah, you get a tighter build, but it's a more focused build. You have the main event established in like October, and then you have multiple months to build that world title match.
That and the title match doesn't necessarily need to even be quote unquote built, because it just is.
Mm.
There's no guesswork involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. The champion, maybe the champion will have a defense in that time, and maybe there could be some question marks, but you kind of know who it is, Right. This is the champion.
At least
you're
guaranteed like the G1 winner is going to the Dome. Like there's no question on that side of the matchup. And it kind of helps you picture what you're getting and can help sell tickets.
Because we're so far out right now and we have no clue. I mean, we have some ideas, but we don't know who Aaron Wolf's fucking fighting. We don't know who Tanahashi's fighting. And we don't know who's going to be IWGP champion or who is even the contender. And, I know it's still early, but this is not usually a time in the year where we wouldn't know those things.
Right.
Or at least have an inkling of some of it.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of question marks for a show they're really pushing hard and wanting a lot of people to go to. I mean, I know we got our tickets, but I don't have
a ticket.
Well, we got our plane tickets. We don't have our tickets to the show yet, but I mean, obviously we're intending on going. But this is a show where it's like, if you want to make this a big deal, give us something to get excited about.
Well, with that being said, let's jump into the last few questions and news. Then you'll get us through the questions. We'll get out of here. So Death Triangle 720, what would you say is your most anticipated match for the show? For me, I'm going to say right now, probably the IWGP tag team title match.
That was going to be my answer too. Yeah. Knockout Brothers.
Yeah. Looks good. Dark Soldier asks, should Destruction and Kobe have been placed in the middle of September? Just feels like we've had and there's nothing there.
Hold on. I guess the rest of that question didn't get copied over. Let me see if I can pull it up on the Reddit here.
This has never happened before.
Let's see here. Dark Soldier, he says... All right, I feel like we just had a bit too much dead space this entire month mixed with the small off season in August post G1.
Yeah, this probably should have already happened by now. I agree.
Yeah, and again, I think it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about, the whole timing thing with the schedule. Like, I think there are some schedule shifts that could make the year a little bit more entertaining, a little bit paced better. Because, yeah, we mentioned it earlier, too. Yeah, this month has just been very light, and it's kind of been that post-G1 where nothing is going on. And then, this year's G1 wasn't the greatest G1, and so it just kind of felt like we're kind of been in a lull period waiting for this show to happen.
And then let's jump into the news. Pro Wrestling Freedoms, November 6th, Thursday, for the once-in-a-lifetime event. New Japan Pro Wrestling's Hiroshi Tanahashi, his participation has been confirmed. The confirmed match card is a special tag team match pitting the team of Hiroshi Tanahashi along with deathmatch legend Jun Kasai to take on the team of Toru Sugiura and Taboya Hirata. So, yeah, Tanahashi making the dates, making the towns, working freedoms. That's going to do it for the news. Jeremy, you got some questions. Let's run through those quick and get out of this shit. Let's knock this shit out in 11 minutes.
All right. So Def Triangle 720 says, let's say the booking committee changes. Do you think a change in the card structure will help? What I mean is the formatting of their big shows like the Dominion or Sakura Genesis, not filler matches, just main matches top to bottom.
Yeah, and there have been times where they've done that and they've had success with it. And I also think that it would be potentially wise, like we've speculated, to play around with some of the formulas of the card, of the actual structure of the tours throughout the year as well.
Yeah, I'd be all for, and I think this year it's been a little bit better. We haven't had a ton of multi-night shows where things are broken.
They can't afford it.
Yeah.
They would if they could.
Yeah, I think it's better when it's all you give us some mega cards. We don't need 2 nights of this new beginning and 2 nights of
all
this.
Killer, no filler.
Yeah, exactly. He also asked, any thoughts on the tag leagues approaching? I asked before, a tag wrestling not being a big importance for the promotion, but they still need big tag matches for them for people to care.
I think the biggest, we've already kind of laid out some scenarios and given some broad speculations. So I think we've mostly approached that subject, but I think as of now, we know there's going to be a lot of dates for both of those tours. We kind of know when they're coming. It's really just a matter of who the fuck's going to be in those tournaments.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, it's New Japan. I mean, the tag matches at the Dome are never really in big spots, so it's not like they need a big tag team to win. Like, it's gonna be kind of
unless Tanahashi wins tag league,
and that's his last match going for the tag team titles.
Hey, Yuto Ice said he wanted to beat his ass, so let's send him out in style.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I feel like anybody could win either of the tag leagues, and it would be fine. I mean, obviously, it would be great if they do something compelling and set some big matches up, but I don't think it's like a make or break for the card if they don't have the right teams winning those things. His next question, do you think it would hurt the image of New Japan by having Naito be Tana's last challenger instead of a young guy?
No. I'm not necessarily sold 100,000% that bringing in Naito in that particular, I think bringing in Naito is going to be of a major importance to the Tokyo Dome show. And I think if they should do that. Hopefully that's in the works. And obviously Naito will bring along with him some fans that have dropped out and a lot of the LIJ contingency, that sort of thing. But I don't know if that matchup on paper in and of itself, really moves tickets. You know what I mean? I'm not sure that that's the case. It's not the worst way in the world that they could go. And I think it is a plausible way they could wind up going, but I don't know if I don't think it's necessarily the right way to go. I am at the point though, where I'm not convinced that Tanahashi's wrestling any of the young guys on the way out because he's already wrestled almost all of them.
I was about to say that. Yeah. There is no big young guy match left. I mean, he's wrestled all of them multiple times this year. He's probably will wrestle them before the Dome. So I'm expecting somebody from Tanahashi's past. So yeah, it could be a guy like Naito, Nakamura. People are throwing out a bunch of other options, but I don't think that it's going to be a young guy. And I don't. If it is Naito, I don't think it hurts. I mean, at this point, you need a draw. Like Naito would still be a draw in Japan. He's been gone for so long now, and I think it would be obviously a big moment. A big vibes matchup and be an emotional send off. And so I think business wise, it would not hurt New Japan.
Yeah, I personally think putting Naito in a different match adds to the card as a whole, as opposed to just concentrating all of that star power into the one match, which it's not. It is a meaningful feud in Tanahashi's history, and they've had quite a few matchups, but it's not the one make or break seminal program for either of those two guys. So to me, I feel a little bit like it's a cop out if that's the route we wind up going. And it kind of tells me they couldn't get anybody else that they might have potentially wanted for that spot.
Yeah.
If there is any young guy though, that it could be, there is Tsuji, because he did get his ass beat in the G1 by Tanahashi.
Yeah. Tsuji needs to get that win back. So if that doesn't happen before Tokyo Dome, that could end up.
That's possible.
Yeah. He also asked, any angle of specific match you want to see them build for Wrestle Kingdom?
No, I just want it to be good. There's nothing I specifically am clamoring for. I just want some clarity and I want some excitement.
Build something. I mean, we're waiting now. Like nothing's really. We know Aaron Wolf's going to be there. We know Tanahashi's last match, but give us something. Give us build at this point. Like, why don't we know Tanahashi's opponent? Give us who Aaron Wolf is facing. Give us something. Build something.
This show needs to have some. It doesn't need to be chock full of angles. I know KOPW is probably going to have a lot more of that, but they need to have some on this show coming up.
Give us some video packages. Like, a lot of people rumor Kenny Omega. Kenny's in Japan. Maybe, if Kenny's going to face Tanahashi, like, give us something. Give us some juice for this Tokyo Dome. Next question here from Vert McPolygon. It says there's been plenty of speculation about WWE contracted wrestler Shinsuke Nakamura or The Rock being Tanahashi's final opponent. But how come nobody's speculating about it being John Cena? He's finishing up with WWE before Christmas, and people used to list Tana versus Cena as some sort of dream match, and maybe it could happen as both men's finals match. Would a Japanese audience care enough about Cena for it to be an option? Also, Rock's Rubik's Cube, it represented Fruity Pebbles, multicolored Cena merch, case closed.
I mean, it's a lot of wishful thinking. John Cena, I highly, highly, highly doubt there's enough money in the world to get him to come out of retirement after his WWE retirement, unless they just happen to bungle that so badly that he's like, you know what? I didn't like the way they treat me. He pulls the Goldberg. Like, I didn't like the way they fucking did that.
I didn't like my retirement match, so
I think I'm gonna do another one. Fuck them.
Yeah, dude, that would be a huge story.
I would love it, but it'd be a terrible match. It'd be so bad. Oh man,
I don't know. Cena's back to being a face. He's doing Code Reds again. He's doing Hurricane Ranas.
Bro, that would be him and Tanahashi cannot work. They would not work well together. They're both so broken down. It'd be so bad. Like, fuck. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's his final match. Maybe it doesn't need to be whatever, but yeah. I don't know how well received John Cena is in Japan. I know he's very big in China. I know the people of China love John Cena and vice versa. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be racist. I don't know if it translates over, across the sea. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting, but yeah, I highly doubt that's going to happen. Next question from Dark Soldier says, Takeshita beat Ishii on AEW Collision a while back. Should he forego his G1 match and instead challenge Ishii for a strong belt in the opening match or pre-show at Wrestle Kingdom? That makes sense. Clearly a joke question here.
Is Ishii the strong champion?
Yes. Remember he beat Gabe?
Oh, no, I forgot. Does that exist? They need to get rid of that belt, right?
I don't know. He walks out with it all the time.
I don't know if did you ever hear about like when Mil Mascaras, he carried that one, I think it was like the IWA or like the IWE title for like even, well, he doesn't actively wrestle, but like even until it was a promotion that died, right? And he still had the physical belt as his personal ownership. So he was defending it for, he never lost it. He was champion for like 27 years straight. That's about to be Ishii out here. He's like, I'm strong champion. Can't beat me.
Yeah. He also asks, with no strong shows on the horizon, what is the future of the people who work these strong shows? Guys like Fred Rosser and the U.S. Academy, probably just indie shows for them until they're scooped up by AEW, WWE, or the hopeful return of Control Your Narrative. But I hope they somehow end up in New Japan, even if it's not very likely.
I don't know. There is no New Japan of America, so there really is no New Japan Strong, and I couldn't begin to tell you what I think they're going to do long term with with those titles. If they, what I can tell you that they should, I don't know what they will do or would do. What they should do is just fold all that shit into the regular belts they got now and get rid of it. Period.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that forever now. So, yeah, I mean, unify both the strong and never openweight title. Can make this undisputed openweight title.
Dog, they got a women's title. You didn't even mention it.
Well, I was starting with the strong title, and then, unify the tag team titles, and then unify the IWGP and the women's strong.
Yeah, just get rid of all of it.
Yeah. And as far as the talent, I mean, clearly there has been not a priority to bring any of those guys over. So I don't expect us to see Fred Rosser, Badu Tito, Tom Lawler, Adrian Quest, any of those guys. I don't think they're going to come over anytime soon.
All right, so I got the stats here. So Mil Mascaras is the only known IWA World Heavyweight Champion for this particular IWA, that existed in Mexico. He held the title from 1975 until his last defense in 2019, and is, the last reigning champion. So,
oh man.
And I'm looking, and on record, he had at least. Oh no, I'm going to include the dark matches. So let's see here. Yeah, no big deal. Just like 59 straight successful title defenses from 75 to like 2016.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's what happens when you own your own title.
See, a lot of wrestlers, they need to go that route instead of, politicking of trying to win the other belts. Like, no, just bring your own belt.
Bro, I used to pop the guys I was training with because I'd come up with like random crazy ass like ideas for like gimmicks in the Florida indie territory, and obviously like none of it would ever really happen, but I was like, I'm gonna come up with this idea that I'm gonna invade all of the local Florida indie territories, and I'm gonna tell them all that I'm already the real Florida champion. And the gimmick would be I would come there with like my own little belt. It would be a little belt. Like you ever seen the one that like Luthez used to wear?
Yes.
Like if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you can't, you can Google it, but just think Riho, her first AEW women's title, the first one, that little one.
Yeah.
like that shit.
Actually, it's probably even smaller than that.
It is a little smaller than that. And instead of having straps, it had chains. But the idea would be I would come to their company. In fact, I guess I was kind of taking the idea of what Jon Moxley did a little bit, because you know how he hid the belt in the briefcase.
Yeah.
I was going to come to their company and say, I'm already the real world champion, but start beating their champions. And then I'd take away their belts and I'd get rid of their belts, and I would, and I'd create a little trinket version, like you know how like in WWE they have the side plates that you can pop in.
Yeah.
I'd create a custom side plate for each Florida indie company and pop that into my own personalized belt. So I'd be like walking around. I'm like, yeah, I got Tampa Bay Pro right here.
FIP.
I got FIP right here. This one right here is Pride of Wrestling. This one right here is Fest. Like
CCW.
I got CCW right here.
Oh man.
And instead of being the belt collector, I would get rid of their belts and I would add little trinkets of their belts to my action. And I'd be like, this is the real Florida belt right here.
Oh man, that could have been money.
I'd be like, how can I convince all of these promoters to let me do this to their companies? So, maybe, I don't know. Ishii should learn English, listen to the show, figure out what he wants to do with that, strong belt. Because I don't think he's going to be making any dates over here anytime soon. So,
yeah. Then last question here from Les Question 7252. Can you add an award of Tanahashi's best 2025 match in the award show this year?
I guess we could. A one-off.
Yeah.
We picked the whatever amount of matches we think actually fits the threshold. however many matches he's had that we think is actually of a high enough quality to. And you know what? That could also be fun because it could probably run the gamut of his whole retirement run, not just in New Japan, but the stuff he's done on the outside as well.
Yeah.
It's not a terrible idea, honestly.
Yeah, we could do it. It'd be pretty easy to get the nominees for that, I think.
Pretty easy.
All right, well, that is the last question there, so we'll wrap the show up. So next week, Josh will be back to review Destruction in Kobe with somebody, so stay tuned for that, and they'll cover all the latest news. So remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KIStrongstyle. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button in the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to connect with us on social media, on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Social Suplex, and at Jeremy L. Donovan, and YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping It Strong Style. On YouTube, we are at Social Suplex. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Issue Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps AEW Adventure with MK and Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Things. Tone Talk with Allie, Ann, and Leah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.